Good morning. My name is Poonam Gulalia. I am coming to you through this video from Mahatma Gandhi National Council of Rural Education. Today's video is being brought to you on the theme Social Welfare Administration and Related Skills. So we need to understand that social welfare administration is one of the secondary methods taught in the curriculum of social work. Even though it is a secondary method, the fact is that it is no less important than any primary method. And the primary methods, of course, you know, are social casework, somewhere called working with individuals, social group work, also called working with groups, and thirdly, community organization or working with communities. So one is saying that social welfare administration, although it is stated as a secondary method, it is no less important than any of the three primary methods or the core courses which are taught as part of the social work curriculum. It's also important to understand at the beginning of this video itself that all the theory that is being taught, all the classroom teaching that you are taking good use of, has to be supplemented with the hands-on approach we have in fieldwork. So the learning by doing aspect, which is the highlight of fieldwork and for which we are discussing these videos by enabling you to understand that certain skills are required for you to learn and practice and engage with as a student social worker or as a trainee social worker. So social welfare administration requires that we understand that it enables creation of necessary conditions for the effective performance of the primary methods which we have just mentioned. How is that possible? We will come to. What skills are required in administration and how does it become an inherent part of the journey of a student social worker in the field? We will also attempt to discuss through this video. Going with the term administration, it is important, essential to understand that it has four integral components. It is a process of giving direction. It is a process of providing direction. That is the first component. The second component, that is, it enables an oversight of the situation, oversight of the organization, oversight of the functioning of the organization, oversight of the employee's performance, oversight of the functioning. Many aspects are covered in this second major aspect, which is called oversight. The third major aspect, which is an integral part of the process of administration, is coordination. So coordination in any organization, in any government department, in any non-government organization, in any field action project, in any project of any school or college of social work, involves designing to carry out based on some agreed purpose with economy and effectiveness in the means which are employed. So coordinating involves people, resources, time, human resource, and the objectives with which that project or program has been designed. So the design, the architecture of that program, the time and space where it is going to be carried out, the people who are going to be involved, the hierarchy which is going to be part of that process, all become integral to the process of understanding administration. Last but not the least aspect of administration is the process through which social policy is transformed into social services. So, based on the policy direction, social services or welfare services are undertaken, and in that context administration becomes very important for us to understand as student social workers or as professionals in the making. Elaborating further on social welfare administration, it is important to explain the various activities which are undertaken as components of social welfare administration. The first is translating the social mandate of the organization, the mission and the vision of the organization into operational goals. So, it has to be operationalized, which means that your skills as a student social worker in one, understanding the mission and the vision of the organization, understanding the mission and the mandate with which a project has been understanding the objectives with which the project proposal has been framed, all become essential, because as a second step you are going to be part of a team to translate this mandate, operationalize it. So, that is why we are calling it operational goals. Some outcomes have to come out of that process. So, what are those goals? What does the organization define as its mandate? It becomes important to understand. Sometimes student social workers feel that this is very theoretical, but the fact is that if we have to operationalize something, it has to be outcome oriented. Some goals are to be achieved, then we have to understand the how and why is it going to happen, where and when is it going to happen. So, the where, the when, the how, the why become important elements in enabling you to translate it, in enabling you to understand it, and in enabling you to have the required skills to do this. So, it is possible that you might be required to learn those skills while you are in the field. So, we call it learning on the job, learning while you are engaging with paraprofessionals, learning while you are engaging with other team members, learning from other co-workers. Sometimes our co-workers or our peers are more experienced than we are. Sometimes they have had experience of working in similar settings. Sometimes their lived realities have enabled them to understand things better. Sometimes our personality type is such that we become quick on the uptake in understanding certain sections of what does it mean to have a vision or a mission of an organization. So, there is no harm in learning from each other, in asking the necessary questions, but we have to see that we do not derail any process which is being undertaken, and we use our own resources, mindfulness and sensitivity to be engaging appropriately where such meetings or discussions are taking place. The second important aspect, students, which you need to understand is what is the design of the organizational structure, what is the design of the process, how has it been designed, who has been part of designing this process which requires you to operationalize it. So, the background information, the homework which has been done by other people, the vision of the trustees, the understanding of the board, all need to be brought forth through these small group discussions which you are going to have for you to transact that program, to operationalize it. And it is important to understand also that where are you going to, or the organization going to secure the resources. What are those resources? Manpower, material, staff, who are the client groups, where are the beneficiaries, what is the geographical area, does it require that the community mapping which had been done earlier or not done requires to be done, does it require community profiling, does it require that you relook at the agency profile or you revisit the documents which the organization has already kept in its stores. You revisit the documents, requires that they be made available to you. Are you able to maintain confidentiality when those documents are made available to you? So there are many aspects where the principles of social work which you have been taught, are you able to maintain a non-judgmental approach to the data which is being provided to you? Or do you say that this data is incomplete, why should I revisit the data? Why should I have to do the homework and tally the data with the documents? So a lot of nitty-gritty is involved in operationalizing a program or a project, and it involves various activities. It involves not only an understanding but an operationalization of this process. So you may understand that resources are required. You may understand that the organization has this mandate, but you may not understand how to put it into action. You may not be confident to be part of the team to be able to put into action. So if we are required to play a small role in the process of either being a receptionist, being a document in charge, tallying the data, arranging the files, maintaining the minutes, pulling out the data from the minutes, let us not feel that any work is small. Let us not feel that itna chota sa kaam mujhe de diya, but the mandate is so big. We have to learn the small steps, move step by step, and do each and every task if we really have to achieve and understand the mission or acquire an understanding of the organizational structure. We have to go through all the small steps if we need to optimize our behavior in the organization, and if we need to optimize an understanding of the behavior of other professionals in the organization. That how did a particular employee reach from being a data entry operator or a receptionist or a tally operator to a higher level? How did a person on a lower level, being a clerk or an administrative assistant, use his skills, continue in the organization and achieve level much higher that he or she would have expected? How did they enhance their skills? How did they use the resources? How did they keep doing repetitive work which sometimes may seem boring or uninteresting to you as a student social worker, to move in the hierarchy of the organization? So all these become aspects for learning in administration, become aspects for growing as a practicing professional. Only then can we say that we are able to evaluate the organizational performance, we are able to be part of a team, we are able to facilitate the process, and we are able to play our role as student social workers in the journey of this secondary method called social welfare administration. I hope that you are on the same page with me in understanding the basics, because we are coming to a very useful and very repeated term which you might have learned in the classroom called POSDC-RBEF, post-coop. What does it stand for, and how will each aspect enable you to understand? It will be a little long journey. The first alphabet of discussing and understanding the functions is P. P stands for planning, O stands for organizing, S stands for staffing, D stands for directing, C stands for coordinating, R stands for reporting, B stands for budgeting, E stands for evaluation, and finally F stands for feedback. So if these are 10 big functions of social welfare administration which we will be discussing, how will you understand these functions here through this video, relate it to your work in the field, relate it to your understanding of being part of an organization in the fieldwork journey, relate it to the functioning of the organization, which could be different for many of you, since all of you are not in the same fieldwork journey. All of you may be, some of you are in the government departments, some of you may be with the non-government organizations. Even among non-government organizations, the mandate of organizations could be different. Some organizations, as I mentioned earlier, work on the theme of health, education, livelihood, vocational training. Some work on a combination of these. In some organizations, the focus on one is larger than the focus on the other. In some field action projects, the mandate is different. Some work on mental health issues. So, the fields of practice, design of the organization, mandate of the organization, the vision that it has enlisted for itself, all become parameters for you to understand these functions in the given context where you are. There will be spaces where you can exchange notes with each other, where in student seminars you get feedback from other classmates on how their fieldwork journey is going on. But the fact remains that this planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, budgeting, evaluating and feedback will be universal for each of you and will become integral to each one's journey in understanding the operationalization of these functions of social welfare administration in your given context. So, I am repeating it so that you begin to understand what is being communicated to you. You take an interest in why you need to understand this. You take an understanding of what skills then are required if you have to plan a program. What skills are required for you to organize a program which has been planned? What skills are required in understanding the staffing which is available in the organization? What skills are required for your seniors when they direct or coordinate the functioning? What skills are required for reporting? Who reports to whom? What skills are required when the budget is being prepared and implemented? How is evaluation going to be undertaken of the program or the project? And what feedback is being given? And how does the organization use that feedback to start all over again in planning the next program or in giving inputs so that the next plan or project or program is undertaken with a better mandate, with a higher level, with more inputs and with better efficiency. So, all these need to be discussed and explained. My attempt will be to go through each of these functions with you now as far as possible and to encourage you to see and relate and discuss these in your fieldwork journey with your supervisors in the field, with your supervisors whom you report to every week for your supervisory conferences, in your individual meetings with your supervisors, in your group conferences as well, so that there is exchange of information, there is exchange of understanding, there is exchange of what skills you have learnt in the field through this process. These are very essential, that what is the skill that you have learnt. Do you as an individual or as a team member now or at the end of the semester or at the end of the year able to say that if I am given the need or the mandate to prepare a project proposal, to plan a program, to undertake an activity, I am now equipped, skilled, confident and mature enough to be able to do that as a leader? Or can I take the help of team members, play a leadership role, but I am equipped to undertake this activity, program, project with the purpose of achieving the goal with which this has been designed. So, that is the purpose with which we are using this video to explain to you step by step, and we are hopeful that you will be able to make notes related to your fieldwork, related to your classroom learning, and be able to draw lessons for it, from it, so that you become a thorough practicing professional at the end of the journey. And that when you finally take on a job, you get employment, people are proud of you, and you yourself are confident enough, you are proud of yourself that you have learned the skills required, which were being taught to you or which we were being explained to you during the course of the journey. So this space needs to be utilized as well as possible. Having said that, I will try and go through these 10 steps, beginning with planning, which is selecting information. Maybe some assumptions are made regarding the future to formulate the activities with the purpose of achieving organizational objectives. I mentioned to you in the beginning that organizations have objectives. They are stated in the mission, they are stated in the vision, they are stated in the websites. Many are translated, and then the operationalization of the plan is seen by you and others through social media platforms, through newsletters, through blogs, many media, through annual reports. So many medium are used where the planning is also reflected. So the planning of any program involves what is the membership, the selection of clients or the client group, the management of resources, detailing the program to be undertaken, and of course what budget or finance is available for the same. So although we are discussing each function independently, I am sure you will understand that there are overlapping spaces of these functions, and this presentation will enable you to study these overlapping functions and to implement them in the field. So the second major function, after having discussed planning briefly, is organizing. So what do you need to organize, and why do you need to organize? Why does the team leader need to have organizing ability? What skills are required in organizing a program? Organizing a program requires establishing effective relationships among people. That's why the team leader, the boss, the hierarchy which is there, which sometimes may hamper the functioning, requires that organizing skills be used effectively. So repeating what is being said, organizing ability is essential for building relationships among team members, for building relationships with target groups, for building relationships with client groups, for building relationships with community people. Clear-cut goals are the other important aspect where organizing abilities are required. So when a large project is given to us or a big program is designed by the organization, it's important that we attempt to divide it into smaller manageable units. We divide the larger program or the assignment into small units so that they are manageable, they can be designated to different people, tasks can be delegated, and together the small parts become the whole, comprehensive whole. It also involves that there be readiness of self and others in undertaking the program. So you may organize it very effectively. Your team leader may have very good relationship skills. He or she may have learned working with people, working with individuals, working with groups, and transacted those very effectively. You yourself might be part of the team, having divided the larger assignment into smaller manageable units. But if we are not ready, confident, mature, up to it, and we are not able to take everyone along with us in this journey of implementing it, we may fall short in our organizing ability. So organizing also involves a systematic arrangement of tasks in relation to the capacity of the people whom you are giving the tasks. So if there are 10 of us in an organization, you have to be able to assess the ability, the capacity, the capability, the talent, the maturity and the caliber of each of the team members whom you are giving the task to. Will we be able to operationalize the task as a team but also as individuals given smaller tasks? So your job becomes to oversee what tasks you have given or what tasks your seniors has given and how it is working out. So you have to be micromanaging a lot of times to be able to see that the smaller units which are going to lead to the comprehensive big holistic picture are being implemented effectively on a day-to-day basis or on a week-to-week basis, depending on how big the project is, how big the program is, how much time and energy and resources are required in implementing it. The third important aspect is staffing. What is the availability of staff in the organization? What is the administration of the staff either in the welfare organization, in the office, in the project site, or in the placement agency? Is it a field action project? Is it an ongoing program? Are people already designated, or are we recruiting new staff for the project? The ability, the experience and the sincerity of each staff member, the skill set of each staff member become equally important. In staffing is also included the role of the HR personnel. So, in many NGOs now we have human resource personnel employed who are involved in recruitment, who are involved in selection, who are involved in stating the service conditions, who are involved in promotion and leave policies, designing and delegating the working conditions. All these become aspects of staffing. So, you as a student social worker then need to understand that in your given NGO setting, in your given government department, in your given organization, are all these aspects stated clearly? Are they understood appropriately? Are they implemented? So, it will not be a one-day assignment for you. It will be part of your fieldwork journey. It will be part of your engagement in the field, in seeing how it is happening, and also in relating to the HR personnel. If that provision is made available to you, are you able to question, ask, understand and conclude these aspects, that all staff members in the organization, are the leave conditions explained to them clearly? Is the working conditions appropriate for their functioning? Are welfare services being provided to them? If some people have small children, minor children, is a daycare facility available to them? Are any legal aspects which need to be covered appropriately available? Is there need for a sexual harassment committee? Is it mandated by the organization? So, many aspects become appropriate in understanding staffing as an important function of social welfare administration. Having discussed staffing, we will now go to directing, the fourth function of social welfare administration, which again is a managerial function. You as a student social worker might think, why do I need to bother about the managerial function of guiding, of supervising, of leading people? But the fact remains that this is your learning space, this is your learning opportunity, this is a hands-on approach you have, this is the time when you will get to learn. After that, you yourself might be employed to direct people, to play a role in which a leadership role would be required. So, it is important for you to understand how work is carried on in organization through rules and procedures. How is staff assisted to maintain and keep records of the work completed? How is harmony created through teamwork? If teamwork does not happen effectively, how do the leaders enable and encourage teams to work? How do they encourage individuals to be part of teams? How is conflict resolved? How is cooperation elicited? All these become aspects for you to understand. How is performance developed and how are standards of performance maintained in an organization? How is loyalty, honesty, punctuality, time management learned and practiced in organizations? All these become very important aspects for you to get acquainted to and to imbibe in the field when you are a practicing social worker. The next important function is coordinating, some of which again I have discussed while discussing other aspects like staffing, directing, organizing. So, while organizing and providing spaces for division of work, employees are assigned duties and responsibilities. There could be spaces where overlapping functions are provided for effective functioning. But by and large, the attempt of leaders, of managers, is that we attempt to avoid overlapping and duplication. For effective work management, orderly synchronization of events is undertaken. There is attempt at synchronization of efforts with the same goal and objective, that is one of the organization, and that is enhanced through communication skills, through interpersonal skills, and through team building skills. The next important function is reporting. Having planned, organized, found effective staff, engaged with them in coordinating the program, engaged with them in giving them the mandate with which they have to function, given them the tasks, provided them the support, the fact that they are now on the job. The fact is that they have to report about the work undertaken. So, work reporting requires periodic reporting. It could be monthly, it could be weekly, it could be bi-monthly. Certain formats are provided by some organizations. Some organizations expect employees to write a detailed work report, whether the objectives have been achieved. They have already been part of the planning process. So, sound planning is based on sound reporting. The management is kept informed about the performance of each employee through the reporting. It also includes a sense of responsibility, as I have mentioned earlier. The employees feel responsible, they feel accountable, they know that they will get their salary on time, they know that their work is being monitored, they know that their work is being supported, they know that they have team leaders. So, there is a sense of encouragement, there is a sense of loyalty which the organization is grooming through these processes. So, it is also essential that the project completion is enhanced through these processes, and that is why social welfare administration becomes a very important and integral component of the profession of social work. The last three aspects of the major functions we are coming to, one of course is budgeting, which we have mentioned earlier in another context, because planning involves budgeting as well. There is a statement of income and expenditure. Skills are required in budget preparation. Skills are required in understanding the finance which is involved, which is the fuel on which the organization runs. The income and expenditure is also maintained by accountants, so that it helps to control excessive expenditure. They are able to see that under which subheads what expenditure is being entailed. It improves the coordination in the organization, which also means that your skills in learning budgeting, in understanding the need for budgeting, in understanding the need for balancing your own income and expenditure as part of the organization, becomes an educative exercise for you. So, as an education of sorts for you to understand how budgeting is prepared, how budgeting is done. Sometimes students, social workers feel that organizations are not transparent in sharing with you the budget. Of course, there are confidentiality issues. Only limited information can be provided to you. But with that limited information, you can learn, you can grow, you can discuss, you can try and project that if this is the budget being provided for the small project of which I am part of, what would be the mandate of the organization? How is it planning its programs? If you discuss with each project head, there could be many projects in an organization. You may be part of only one such project. So, you need to have a very open policy, open understanding of engaging with people through formal and informal mechanisms within the social welfare administration mandate to learn from what is being provided to you and why some information is being concealed from you. Finally, we come to the last two functions of evaluation and feedback. If there is a project, if it is being planned, if it is being undertaken, definitely there will be evaluation. As I mentioned, evaluation and feedback could be Feedback could be provided on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a half-yearly basis, or on an annual basis. And finally, evaluation could be done and feedback could be undertaken in different teams. So, the teams could be intra-agency teams, it could be funding agency, and it could be outside evaluation teams also who undertake evaluation of the project which is being undertaken. So, there is an exercise to showcase whether the programs and the projects are moving in the desired direction. Why is feedback important? Why is review important? Why is monitoring important? And why is evaluation undertaken? Because one has to understand whether the program and the project with the vision and the mission with which it was planned is moving in the desired direction towards achieving the desired goals. So, periodic feedback and periodic evaluation are integral part of social welfare administration, and as student social workers we need to be ready for getting periodic feedback, whether it's positive, negative or mixed, and for learning from that, for providing our energy and time and understanding in using the feedback positively to learn from that, to re-examine our success and failures, to arrest the situation because periodic feedback is being provided, and to take appropriate action so that we don't derail the process but can achieve the goal with which the project was initiated. So, feedback also ensures sustainability of any project, and it enables strengthening the program, which is very much required if we want to do justice to the work with which we have undertaken as part of our teamwork. Having discussed with you at length the functions of social welfare administration, the skills required by you as a practicing social worker, it is important that you revisit these aspects. You see the integration of these aspects, how there are overlapping spaces for you to understand the whole picture if you need to be an effective administrator, because we all require you use administration skills in our fieldwork journey and in our working lives as professional social workers. So, even though it may seem like a lot of effort which is required to be undertaken by you, we encourage you to go through this process step by step, revisit these aspects in your fieldwork learning, discuss it in segments with your supervisors, and develop the confidence and the skills to become good practicing administrators. We wish you all the best, and we are very hopeful that you will use these videos for your ongoing learning journey. Thank you very much.